Good morning. We're going to let's see. Okay. Mr. Coleman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I come to you today asking for an enabling piece of legislation that, well, basically these are the last two pieces of education legislation that we hope to have this year, and I know y'all are very excited about that. These are two that also came out of the Education Study Commission. The one I'm asking for today is House Bill 896, which is the enabling legislation for resolution Constitutional Amendment 1150, but what this enabling legislation does in a county that has cities, and they do a splash. There's a city school system like Decatur and DeKalb County, Beaufort and Gwinnett. When they do a splash, it's not changing any of the laws about how splashes are done and how the elections are taking place. It just talks about how funds are distributed. They will be distributed by FTE, full-time equivalent, and some systems, there's 4 city systems that have kind of held the counties a little hostage and demanded a little more. This specifies how the money is distributed.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Kidd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The very top of the list, number 74, bill that we committee passed last year. It didn't quite make it on rules last year. We're back here again with it this year. It's for kids who want to go in the military and stay in the military. They have an opportunity to sign up when funds are made available. I might add when the funds are made available. And they'll sign up for 2 years to go to the military school at GMC. And they committed to go to the other 2 years at North Georgia College. If they fail to continue their education, they have to reimburse the state for the money that the state had advanced. It's House Bill 74, and we'd love for it to get on the calendar this year. Here again, it's when funds are made available.
We have questions, Mr. Kidd. Thank you. Mr. Maxwell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm back again on House Bill 820, the Guaranteed Asset Protection Waiver and the retail seller's requirement to waive obligations. I talked to all the folks that deal with the used cars, the associations, and they don't have any problem with this bill. Representative Sessler had a concern about unfair economic advantage, but that product's not offered in the state, and this dealership that wants to come in processes all this in-house. The insurance commissioner's office has agreed to oversee the waiver, the requirement of $100 million, or the posting of bond as necessary. And they told me they would be getting with Representative Sessler to assure him that they had no problems and they didn't feel like it was going to be any type of economic hardship to any other business in the state that wanted to do this or to perhaps offer this in the future. So asking for House Bill 820.
Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Maxwell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Mr. Powell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you again House Bill 880. This is a bill asked for by the Georgia Real Estate Commission and the Georgia Real Estate Appraisers Commission. This cleans up a lot of the language of inequities and definitions, stops up some of the loopholes that during this time of a lot of questionable practices. Some of the agents, licensed agents, have sort of skirted through the loopholes and gives them some tools to deal with other issues with licensees. I'd ask for your consideration to move this forward.
Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We normally don't let senators come in until last, so, you know, but we'll break the rules just for you. Mr. Jeffers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate Bill 309 simply gives the DNR commissioner the right to issue a special hunting or fishing permit to someone who's being diagnosed with a terminal illness 21 years or younger.
I really thought you'd get questions on that one, but Your name don't need to be on nothing. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Good Dr. Watson.
Good morning. I'm here on the modified open rules and House Bill 845. Has to do with child care, parent education. It is not a requirement for influenza vaccination. It is a educational, printing out 2 pieces of paper from cdc.gov. There is no civil liability related to this. I'd ask for your favorable consideration.
Questions? Thank you, Mr. Watson. Mr. Chokas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee, I'm asking for your favorable consideration for Senate Bill 339, modified structure on page 2. This bill simply returns the aviation assets back to Department of Natural Resources, Forestry, and gives a King Air 90 to Chairman Roberts' transportation.
Good bill. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Battles, would you like to do 215 just for old time's sakes?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bring back House Bill 215. Simply, this is a bill that would protect children from being exposed to those who have been convicted of a sex crime, as in the transportation, both in commercial as well as school bus drivers. This would be the CDL license that has the classification of P and S, and if they have been convicted after July the 1st, 2012, and this is enacted, then they would not be able to receive that designation. And I'd ask for your favorable consent on that bill.
Any questions of Mr. Battles? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and committee.
Members. Mr. Green.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask for annual conveyance of state properties, and each member that is affected by for the conveyances has been notified of their pieces of property in the bill.
Mr. Green, what was the number again?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's House Resolution 1376.
Mr. Rice.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bring to you House Bill 900, which is very simply a GMTA bill, Georgia Motor Trucking Association bill, that adds trailers to the rules currently in place for motor vehicles for their being scrapped. If there's no questions on that, Mr. Chairman, I'll ask for also for HB 1024, which is a population bill that requires the formation of a budget commission for counties currently over 600,000, but changed to 900,000, and that's the substance of the bill.
Any questions? Mr. Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 817 in a modified structure. This is the GDOT's housekeeping bill. It's carried by Representative Nimmer. I asked that we could move that forward, but I want to put my name beside SB 339, the Aviation Authority bill, HB 594, Representative John Burns' bill that he's been here and asked about before, and as well as SB 309, Taylor's Law. Thank you.
Ms. Sheldon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to ask for House Bill 1026. It's a population bill dealing with contracts for the sheriffs for the municipalities, and it just continues to maintain status quo for Gwinnett County.
Any questions of Ms. Sheldon? Ms. Weldon?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to request HB 250, the Judicial Retirement System bill, which brings it up to date, allowing people to elect to have the spousal benefits at their retirement, not upon their hire.
Any questions? Mr. Stevens?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask for House Bill 845, Dr. Watson's influenza information bill, and also Representative Burns' bill, House Bill 594, low profit business, which is me.
Well, we're gonna ride that thing till it's gone, I tell you. Ms. Jones, where is she? You're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to request that House Bill 896 and House Resolution 1150 be sent back to the Education Committee for a little more work. The Chairman Coleman, asked that I make that request.
The resolution number, which one is it?
1150. It's not on the blue calendar. I believe it's on
Okay.
the general calendar.
The,
Oh, did it go to Ways and Means?
yeah.
Okay.
The lady has requested that to be sent back.
Yes, sir.
Anybody opposed to that? It's back.
896.
896. Yeah, yes, sir.
Oh, were they Ways and Means? Yeah. Back to the committee from which they came.
All right, 896, back to Ways and Means. Yeah, there's a little WM down there. Didn't know what that meant. Okay, anybody opposed to that? It's back. The minority leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to ask for HB 535, HB 681, and HB 684.
535, 681, and 684.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Manning.
Yes, sir. I'd like to ask for 681 and HB 535.
Mr. Hembry.
Good morning, good morning, Mr. Chairman. On page 2 of the modified structure rule, I'd like to request House Bill 955, that's the Georgia Life and Health Guarantee Association. It's just a comprehensive update. It hasn't been done in about 30 years. House Bill 971, it's a housekeeping measure for the State Board of Workers' Comp. And House Bill 986, if there's a dispute regarding a policy, English will be the official language used. And we're working on the House Bill 828 with Chairman Willard.
Okay. All right, that's it. Let's see. Wait a second. Mr. Leader.
And I'd like to be recognized to make a motion under Rule 33.3 for today's calendar. I'm not sure when that is, though. It might be before you set Monday.
What if it don't make it to the floor?
It's already on the calendar.
It's already on the calendar? Okay. Let's go ahead and take care of today's stuff. Mr. Leader, what have you got? Hello.
I wish you wouldn't wake me up like that this early. I move under Rule 33.
He's on.
He's on.
I move under Rule 33.3 that we limit debate on House Bill 776 to 90 minutes, said time to be apportioned by the Speaker.
I got it.
All right, you've had the request of the leader to limit debate under Rule 33.3 on today's calendar. It's today's calendar for HB 776 under modified structure. Is anybody opposed to that? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Ayes have it. It'll be limited to 90 minutes or what the speaker determines. All right, we're going to set this is setting the calendar for Monday. HB 250 under modified open. Do I hear a move? Any opposed? Under modified open, HB 463. Any opposed? Under modified open, HB 820. Any opposed? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Those opposed? Who objected? Okay. I was blaming it on Peak. Mr. Leader, you're still pushed over there. No, we can't get you. Yeah, you can. All right. Modified open, HB 880. All those in favor signify. I just got tired of asking if anybody's opposed. Okay. Under modified structure, HB 955. Any opposed? Under structured, HB 215. Any opposed? Under modified structure, HB 971. Any opposed? That is the calendar.